Hello, welcome to Coffee is for Closers. As always, I'm your host, Tim Brigham, and when I started this show, I thought, wow, how big can we take it? How far can we go? You got Joe Rogan out there, you got all these people that you watch, and you think, wow, they have really cool guests. What's the highest one you can get? Could we get the president? Well, today, I'm very proud to announce that I have the president. With me is Vicky Silvano, the president of Chicago Association of Realtors.
Oh, it's the president-elect.
President-elect. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Forgive me. You are going to be the president here shortly.
Yes, I will be.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Even if I'm in that level or category, my feet is on the ground.
I know. You're amazing. Every time I talk to you, you're so humble. You're so nice. I love it.
Thank you.
For those who don't know you, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, I'm Vicky Silvano, and thank you, Tim, for making me part of your podcast or this show. I guess it's very few people invite me, but thank you for your invite.
Of course.
But my name is Vicky Silvano. I'm born and raised in the Philippines. I came here in '85, so I graduated college from the University of the Philippines with a degree in economics. So I kind of know how to analyze things. So I came here because of love. My husband was taking his master's at Roosevelt University, master's in international business, and so we're here together now. But at the time, I had to be here to support him, and obviously we wanted to start our family, but we didn't have a family until like 7 years after. My growing up in the Philippines is a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
It's a different culture. Filipino culture is very family-oriented. I grew up in a household of 8. I have 6. I'm one of 6 siblings. Obviously, father, mother, and then my grandmother also lived with us. And an aunt, who's a brother of my father, lived with us. So there's like 8, 10
Wow.
of us
Wow.
in the household of 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. But at some point in time, because my family really helps out a lot of people from the provinces who come to the city because we live in the city to go to school and all that. At one point, there's like 17 people at my household. So
Wow.
it's a lot of people.
3 bedroom, 2 bath, 17 people.
Yeah.
Wow.
So every inch of that house is slept on. We have double deckers.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's growing up in that type of household and that type of environment, gives you a sense of belonging,
Yeah.
sense of family, it's good. I see my parents giving back a lot to these people without expecting anything in return.
I have to share, I don't think I've ever shared this on the show, but my wife's family, now my family, I have a Filipino. Her father married a woman from the Philippines.
Oh.
And she tells an incredible story where she came over here on a boat, and it is one of the strongest, most amazing stories of hearing what she's overcome. Not to say there's anything wrong with the Philippines, but just that she comes from a village where, they had dirt floors, and then she comes here, and I've absolutely love the Filipino culture. I think it's great. Listen, brutal honesty. That's what I know. Is they will walk right up to you and tell you exactly what's going on. I love it.
Yeah.
I love
Sometimes,
it to death.
I don't know if I'm saying it too strongly, because I'm very open and very straight up.
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't like it. Filipino culture, you just have to go around the bush sometimes. But, they're great people. They're very loyal,
Yeah.
very clannish. They love to cook. I'm very atypical Filipino. I don't cook too much. I don't do a lot of household chores, but, it's different living in back home. We have maids to cook. We have drivers. We have,
Wow.
So I haven't done dishes when I was growing up. So
somebody might hear that, and I grew up in Arizona, right? So at one point, I almost my father and I almost moved to Mexico, and it was my first experience with what you just said, which is we went and looked at houses, and every time we looked at a house, we had to interview a family. And I looked at my dad and I said, I'm so confused.
Why?
He goes, well, the family comes with the house because they live there. They want to take care of the house for you. It's just a cultural thing. It's just different. It's not meant to be what we would probably look at here is like, whoa, that's strange. That's how it works.
You give them jobs.
Yeah.
You know, that's how you can look at it too. You know, they're there to serve people who's gonna stay in the house. And so, as I said, you know, I grew up there and didn't do any household chores.
Wow.
First time I washed dishes in my own household, I cried.
Really?
Because I haven't done any chores before coming down here. So, but now I do, of course.
I'm picturing you going, America's so hard. This is ridiculous.
It was a big, really enculturation to the, the American culture.
Wow.
So I learned how to take public transportation. You know, I learned how to, talk to different types of people. So sometimes I don't understand. Sometimes I question myself, do I really know how to speak English?
That's hilarious. So, well, you're doing great.
Thank you.
No, I think it's really interesting when you come from, like, I come from Tucson and I come to Chicago, and you have to learn how to Chicago.
Yeah.
You got to learn. It's a very different language, right? What I love about Chicago, and I'd love to hear your experience. I come here, and I'm looking up at all these big buildings, and I'm looking at all these people who just seem so important, and they had something to do, and I was like, I want to do that. I want to have purpose. I want to feel like I matter, right? And Chicago makes me feel like I matter. Right.
Well, it's a little bit different from the way you see it, because I'm coming from a third world country to a first world country, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So the first time we drove on Lakeshore Drive, I thought that was the ocean.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's so huge. I mean, Lake Michigan is so huge. You know, it's like, is this the ocean? I mean, we're driving through it, and it's like, but cities. I love Chicago. I think Chicago is one of the best cities in the world.
Yeah.
It's very clean. Transit system is very accessible. I'm a new immigrant. I don't need a car, and I can go elsewhere in different parts of the city. So that's I think a lot of the immigrants who come from different countries love that about Chicago.
Yeah.
Food.
Yeah.
You can taste every food you can imagine, Filipino, Mexican, Chinese, Thai,
Greek,
everything. Greek, Italian.
Whatever you want,
yeah,
right?
Whatever you want. Yeah, yeah. So it's a very well-rounded city, I think.
Yeah.
But hopefully the media doesn't really look at us as a bad city, it's a violent city. It's not.
I hate.
It's not.
I hate how we're getting portrayed right now.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. I mean, you're the president-elect of CAR, right? How did you get into real estate? Like, what was your progression into?
Yeah, when I came here, I worked at Northwestern University.
Okay.
For 4 years. My first 4 years. And my first 4 years, I was admin assistant. Mm-hmm. But at some point, I didn't know what discrimination was before. When you're new in the country, you just look around and see what's happening. And I think I was discriminated then. So before I left, my big boss, the main boss of the department, somehow we had in conflict. So I started looking at other options because I wanted to really get out of that environment. Mm-hmm. So I saw this, my husband saw this career night in the newspaper. We had newspapers then, okay? It was not online. So, and it says career night. I said, okay, let's see what that is.
Okay.
So career night, apparently it's a Century 21 presentation of real estate, what the benefits are of real estate, going into real estate. So I said, let me see. I think I'm good at sales.
Century 21 had the jackets
Yes,
back then,
it
right?
was yellow jacket, but I didn't use the yellow jacket.
Okay.
I refuse to.
That's so funny.
So they after that, I took my licensing and all that good stuff. And then once I finished my licensing, I got out of that office and I went to an independent office actually. Which I don't know franchises versus independent and all that. Whoever called me first got me. It's like whoever helped me in the loan, he got my business.
Oh wow!
So that's how loyal am I. I
love it.
So I went to that independent office. I didn't know. I wrote my own scripts. I practice in the mirror because I want to make sure that I speak well and that people would understand me.
We didn't have the internet back then, right?
No,
we didn't
no
have,
internet.
There wasn't really coaching all that much.
No.
It was like standing in the mirror going, okay, can I do this?
Yep,
right?
that's so I was very self-motivated, right?
I love it.
So I did my scripts, and the telephone was my best friend.
Wow.
It was the cheapest form of lead generation at the time. So I don't get off my chair if I don't make 2 appointments.
There it is. Okay.
So
I love that. So that's like it says, when you're ready for your day, make 2 more phone calls. But you...
No, mine is appointments, not phone calls.
Yeah. When I joined the mortgage business in the beginning, I was told I had to have 3 applications by 3:00, and if I didn't, I had to stand on my desk and keep making. And
boy!
I'm not kidding you. I'm standing on the desk making phone calls because I had to learn that there's only one way to do this, and that is to have real grit, and you just don't stop. Otherwise,
persistence.
Don't make it. You got to make it. You can't make excuses.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So that's and then I grew from there.
Yeah.
So sometimes you get ego, right? So I'm gonna be good at this.
Okay.
So I bought a franchise, and did it my own. And then there's another company, another Century 21 office in the suburbs. Bought in my organization, so they have that city office.
Okay.
My office was in Ravenswood, so that's the location of, and that's where they wanted to get a city, market share. So, and then lo and behold, the partnership was not good.
Okay.
I sued them. I won.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay.
So I went to another Century 21 office with Nancy. So Nancy Suvarnamani is the owner of the Century 21 SGR office. So she was really the factor, the main ingredient, so to speak, of her opening the doors of leadership to me.
Yeah, Nancy's an amazing leader.
Yeah,
if you hang out with her for 10 seconds, you know right away.
Yes. So she brought me into the Chicago Association of Realtors, and I was the chair for the Global Council at the time in 2014. And up until now, I've been serving, in different committees, in different capacities with the Chicago Association of Realtors. I love CAR. They really support a lot of the agents and members, and we have this initiative called Industry Partners, where they collaborate with a lot of the multicultural groups of the city, so of the chapters. So we're the ARIA Chicago chapter, and then all the chapters of NAREP, NAREB or Dearborn, the Alliance, WCR, VA Rep.
They're like the glue.
They are the glue, and they support us not just in financial terms, but they come to our events locally and nationally. They put us in their Chicago Realtor magazine. We have one spread there with all the industry groups there. So they really support all of us.
Yeah.
In any capacity that we needed them for. So
So I think it's important too. I love CAR, absolutely love CAR. But how I met you originally was through ARIA.
Yeah,
right?
that's my other part, my other side.
Yeah, I think I think there's a lot of amazing groups in Chicago. I think there's incredible organizations out there. I don't know that ARIA has gotten its the amount of limelight it deserves. I think that it's such an amazing organization that I love that you're at the helm of CAR, because you're going to be able to give the respect to some of these people who maybe, it's not that they're disrespected, it's just it's time to shine a light on some of the other sides of this, right?
Yeah.
ARIA is amazing.
ARIA is the Asian Real Estate Association of America.
Yep.
We have 46 chapters across the country and Canada, over 19,000 members.
Wow.
So I was the national president in 2016. One of the biggest legacy, I think, that I've done with ARIA is the fact that we did that No Other campaign. I don't know if you know this, but the No Other campaign means that during that time, before July 2016, we were categorized as other. So in the U.S. Census Bureau quarterly homeownership reports, the categories were just whites, blacks, Hispanics, and other.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
So we initiated this campaign, brought in all our chapters. At that time in 2016, we were only about 26, 27 chapters. Mm-hmm. We also collaborated with some of our congressmen, Congressman Honda, Congressman Judy Chu, and also the U.S. Census Bureau, because they're the ones who can change that census.
Yeah.
So with all this collaboration and outreach to all the different communities that we have across the country, U.S. Census Bureau listened to us.
Wow.
And in July 2016, that category was added on. Now we have a voice. Now we're represented.
Yeah.
And now the government can see what our needs are. Because at the time, if you're not counted, then you don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
But
or you get blended together with everybody else under other.
Exactly.
That's not fair,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So now that we are the smallest population, but we're the fastest growing population. Probably nationally, we're 6 to 7%. Is Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander community. Mm-hmm. It's a long acronym now, AANHPI community. But our economic activity is about $1.3 trillion.
Whew.
So as a loan officer, I'm sure you can see a lot of the different price ranges of Asian Americans who's buying.
Yep.
They're higher price range. They're probably easier to qualify because we're very debt averse. Mm-hmm. We don't like too much debts. But then the challenge is sometimes we don't have credit scores, or our credit scores are non-existent. So, all these things that's happening with ARIA or the community itself, that's what we advocate for. So, yeah, ARIA has been another big organization that I love because it has helped a lot of the AANHPI because of this No Other campaign that we did.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like true change.
Yes, true change.
And yes,
this is really if you want the needle to turn, that's the needle.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so inspired. I mean it. You are the Chicago I'm talking about. Is I get around people who just decide they're going to do something, and they go, "Come here, this is the right thing to do, right? Come here." And I love the fact that the careers that we have, sometimes you just got to pull open your phone and start scrolling and go, okay, let me just start calling some of the people. And if you get enough of those people together, you're now talking to congressmen, you're talking to, you're getting real change made that matters. That's incredible.
And that's what I wanted to do, aside from, obviously I'm doing my business still, right? I'm very entrenched in my business. But I've also made sure that I wanted to leave a legacy that will, stay forever. 2016 is a long time. It's been 9 years ago, but people still talk about the No Other campaign in ARIA.
Yeah.
Because it's the first big win of ARIA.
So looking forward as you take office, What is I'm sure you've got big plans or big things on the horizon. What do you hope for CAR in regards to the future?
The future, right now, I'm supporting obviously Lutalo McGee, our current president. He has a big goal in the education field, making sure that we open the doors to new people who can come and talk about real estate, being a realtor, being an appraiser, because these are the things that we need to make sure that we serve our communities, right?
So needed.
So
needed.
That's his legacy that he's building right now, and I'm supportive of that.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure also that there's it's a big initiative that he's doing right now. So I'm doing that in support, and let's see what's going to happen this year.
You're going to
the following year is going to be another timeline to think about it.
You're coming in at an incredible time because we've got a new Fed that's probably going to show up, right? We've got, arguably, we think that real estate's going to take off. That's my opinion because, cost of money comes down and it's not like all of a sudden inventory is going to show up. So I think that it's going to be a very busy time. And I think that what you just said is extremely important. I think there's not enough people educating out there, or maybe they're looking for a quick fix on YouTube instead of sitting with somebody like yourself who goes, listen, slow down. Let's look at this. Let's create a real business here. What are you really doing, right? And I applaud what you all are doing. I think it's fantastic. Yeah. What do you think, looking forward, we've got a lot of very strange things going on in regards to NAR and the MLS, and I would love your comment, what you can say or what your opinion is, on the current environment that we're in.
So that we just had the lawsuit, right? Yep. And this lawsuit changed a lot of the different ways of doing business, right? Now we are mandated to have an exclusive or non-exclusive buyer-broker agreement.
Right.
Before we didn't have that,
Right.
I've been working with a lot of repeat customers, so sometimes it's hard for me to say, hey, can you sign this form again, or this form, well, I didn't sign that before. Yeah, but this is now a mandate. This is for everybody, right?
Yeah.
So that's one big thing that's changing.
So for consumers that may watch this, why is that form important?
That form is really important because, now that you are being represented by a professional. Mm-hmm. That's one, right? Two, we know our value, mm-hmm. right? We want to make sure that we are being paid with the value that we offer, with the services that we offer them. Mm-hmm. So it's just fair game to me. I think that's something that needs to really change.
Yeah.
However, I haven't really gotten any pushback from other realtors about not cooperating, brokerage fees. Mm-hmm. I cooperate with other agents, and vice versa. So it hasn't really disrupted any of my business that goes along with the payment of commissions. But I think it's high time that people know that if you're a buyer's agent, these are the services that you wanted to offer. Mm-hmm. If you're a seller's agent, this is the service I want to offer. And if the buyer gets paid if the buyers pay you, then you just have to disclose that to the other party.
Yeah.
It's all disclosure.
And it's like Dodd-Frank,
yeah.
right? It's just like Dodd-Frank. I remember there were guys, old school guys, I started doing this a long time ago, and there were old school guys that I respected, that I looked up to, that were like, the business is over, it's over. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And it was because we had to have transparency. Well, that gives me pause, because are you not being transparent? Is that what the issue is here? I like the fact that we get to disclose things, and the consumer knows exactly what's going on. They know it on the front end and they know it on the back end, and nobody gets taken advantage of in that instance, right? You go into an agreement knowing that these are the services that you offer, and this is what you pay, and these are the services that are everything's negotiable at that point.
Yeah.
What's going on with the speaking of National Association of Realtors, what's going on with in the news? We're hearing about some companies that are trying to say that you have to use their services or you can't use others. And there's a little bit of a battle going on.
Yeah, I think because of the lawsuit, there's MLS is being opened up to non-realtor members.
Okay.
Which is like.
So what is it? What's the difference between the two?
So, if I say I'm a realtor, that means that you are part or you are a member of the National Association of Realtors.
Okay.
If
So
you're a
NAR.
licensee,
Yeah.
then you cannot say that you're a realtor.
Oh.
You're a real estate professional.
Okay.
So that's the biggest difference,
Okay.
But right now, because of the lawsuit, I think it's going to be opened up to non-members or the licensees.
Okay.
The problem that I see, or the challenge that I see with that, is because NAR advocates for homeownership,
Okay.
right? And like Chicago Association also advocates for homeownership.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the main goal, right? Increasing homeownership. Like CAR has advocated for to shut down rent control, to shut down the increase in transfer tax.
Yep.
All these things that would make our lives harder to, sell real estate.
Yeah.
And those non-licensees, non-realtor members are going to have the benefit of that. And yet they're not going to be paying the fees that NAR is, giving us those types of services.
Wow.
It's hard to think. Although 90% of us are NAR members, there's that 10% who thinks that being a non-licensee or being a non-NAR member is going to be cheaper or less expensive for them, but they don't see the benefit of being an NAR member. And the benefit is because, you stay in the business. Flood control. We advocated for flood control. In Des Plaines, there's a lot of flood control areas or floodplain areas. Northfield is a high-end area. So we advocated for having a flood control, flood insurance program still.
I see on social media and the advocacy that's done. I mean, people are volunteering their time to go to the Hill and actually discuss the challenges that we're having in Chicago. You wouldn't get that benefit. Are you going to get on a plane and go there? Probably not. So who's going to be your voice, right? So there's pluses and minuses with all of it. I'm sure some people think they're saving money, but if you're not a part of the industry, you got to be careful with that because the industry is the industry. If you're going to remove yourself, well, you're creating an us and them environment.
That's a tough one, really. I advocate for everybody or anybody who's listening today to be a part of NAR, Chicago Association of Realtors, or any other realtor associations in Illinois. Because I think we do a great job in making everybody stay in the business.
So I have to ask you a sensitive one. We've got some companies that are trying to create their own MLS, right? I mean, are you able to touch on that a little bit?
Sure.
What are your opinions?
Yeah, I think they're making a mistake. I think the data is still with NAR. Yes, there are companies that's merging and acquiring all these other companies, and they're big companies, right? However, I don't think they can create as big of a data as NAR does.
Yeah, and you have to be careful with that too, right?
Yeah.
Because your data, if it's given up control, I mean, where is it going? And then
And then how do you service your clients? Are they seeing all the data out there? Because if you're only giving your own data to the clients and not giving everything, then are you servicing them well?
And then later down the road, when that person goes to sell, are you sure that they're not going to be back, trying to go get that data put with another agent that happens to work for that organization, right? You're seeing some of that happening where it's like this cross-marketing, kind of strange, weird. Look, I'm not a realtor. I just know data. I've been doing mortgages for a long time, and I would have questions at that point.
Yeah, right? There's always differences, different opinions on this data analytics, this data sharing, so to speak. But I think, the MLS, still is the best way.
Gold standard. Yeah.
Is still the best way to go as far as data is concerned. So there's private listings in the MLS too, but there's also reasons for why there's private listings within the MLS. But most of those private listings go into the regular MLS, a regular database, anyways.
So let's talk about Chicago a little bit, right? I think that Chicago's interesting, right? I think that you and I have an opinion that we're probably a little bit different than the rest of the nation. I think the data is telling us that, maybe we're kind of anomalies. We're seeing stuff that's appreciating, whereas other parts of the country are kind of having a challenge. What do you see going on in Chicago?
Chicago is there are obviously different segments of types of properties, right?
Sure.
The condo market is still a little bit lagging behind in terms of business activity. The single family 2 to 4 units are still like having multiple offers.
Oh yeah.
And you see that agents will call you, hey, Tim, can I get a pre-approval like yesterday?
Yeah.
So
I need it in 10 seconds.
Exactly.
Okay, we got you.
because there's multiple offers happening, So
Yep.
I think there's a lot of corrections happening in different parts of the country, as well as Chicago. But Chicago is still robust. The real estate market here is still robust. If I talk about Chicago Association of Realtors, our numbers are still increasing. Our members, we budgeted for 89% of retaining our members, and actually we're at almost 92%.
Wow.
Of membership being retained.
Wow.
NAR said they're budgeted for 1.4 million, and I was just in Houston for the national convention, and they said that it's at 1.45.
Wow.
So we're not hitting the low end of the membership. And I still think that real estate is still going to be there. AI will probably not take over as far as I'm concerned. I think
it'll make life easier, but there's no way. We need real estate agents. We need loan officers. You're not going to be able to replace us. Maybe some.
You can't replace emotions.
Right.
You can't replace experience. You can't replace the knowledge that. Like you and I have gone through different cycles of the market, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it just makes processes easier.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I think the realtors are still going to be a main or important factor in the home buying process.
Yeah, I think it's always important to have the right person in your corner. Look, I've said this a few times, but I'm going to say it to you as well. I want to apologize to the industry because for probably 20 years, I always thought a realtor showed up at a house and was like, "You like this, huh? You should sign. You should buy this. Totally. This is great. Sign right here." And that's not the truth. Truth. There's so much more to being a realtor.
The truth.
Right.
Yeah. The problem is sometimes we just make it look easy for the buyers and the sellers, because we take on a lot of their, nuances of the cycle, of the, home ownership cycle, right?
Yeah.
And the process. So and sometimes we don't really articulate our value. We say, okay, I'll do this for you. So I do a lot of the different things. I give them, the handyman. I give them the movers. I give them, the cleaners and all that good stuff. So I make it so easy for them to sell, to buy, and making sure. And that's where probably why we should really start making ourselves look more valuable to the parties that we serve.
I love what you just said because I think a lot of people gloss over that, is that we make it look easy, but you don't understand it took me a very long time to accumulate the amount of people to create the solution that you're looking for. Because you're about to go on Google and you don't know that the person you're going to call isn't the right person. The Chicago way is I got a guy or I got a girl, right? That's the Chicago way.
Yeah.
And it takes a very long time to listen. We have trusted people. I trust this person. It's going to be okay. They're going to do your inspection. I trust this person. They're a loan officer. They're going to do a great job on your loan, right? Versus you get on Google and you have no idea who you're talking to.
Yeah. Well, just like in your business, in my business, I mean, we collaborate a lot together, you know. So for me, like, especially with first-time home buyers, right, you need a lender, you need an inspector, you need an attorney, you need an insurance, you know. You need all these team members to make sure that, you know, everything goes smooth from start to finish.
Yeah.
You know. And that's where, you know, as I said, the value of a realtor is really up there. And that's not articulated a lot by our membership, you know. So hopefully they do now.
So I bet you there's someone who's newer in the industry who's going to see that this is an interview with the president-elect of CAR, is going to be very interested. Maybe they're newer in their career. What would you advise them to do if they're in a stage in their career where they have questions? Maybe the people around them are helpful, but they're looking for more. Where do you think resources, or do you have an advice or a tip or anything that you think you could put in their lane if you were talking to the beginnings of your career?
Yeah, I usually, you know, because I started the hard way, right, where I did my own script, I did my own face in the mirror and all that, I would always say, get a mentor.
Yeah.
Get one person that you really like that would help you along the way. I've helped a lot of people along the way, and they still call me for advice, or they still call me, hey, Vicky, thank you so much for, you know, being there for me when I was starting. You know, when I had the Century 21 office back then, most of my agents are brand new or newer in the business. So I had a lot of hats then. You know, I was the mentor, I was the president, I was the secretary, I was the finance. So there's a lot of those hats that I wore during that time. But now that we have like teams, right? I think being in a team would be helpful, and you can, you know, get a lot of support from that team. But for me, if you're a solo agent, get a mentor within your office. Yeah. That's probably the number one thing that I would advise. But also make sure that you don't stop learning. You got to train. You got to get, you know, courses from Chicago Association of Realtors. You got to, you know, make sure that you open your eyes to opportunities. And you won't see that if you don't train yourself, or you don't get some more education. Yeah,
I think in this current world that we live in, I think ChatGPT is great. I think YouTube's great. The problem is that I think a lot of people think I have customers now. A new objection. I thought I had them all. I think I got it all covered. But a new one that caught me off guard was, well, I ChatGPT'd this, and I go, oh, okay.
Really?
Well, and what did it tell you, right? And so we're coming into a world where information is so much easier to get a hold of. Yeah. Please listen to me. Listen to Vicky. If you want to be successful in this business, go find somebody who is successful and ask them for help. It's okay. The ego thing, we all know it's there. But the truth is that I've never met a top producer that if you came to them and were like, listen, I need your help, not a single one of them would say no, because they'd look at you like, okay, you have the courage to say that to me? Yeah. And we'd be honored to bring you with us to teach you what we've learned. Don't make the same mistakes, right?
Yeah. And a lot of those top producers are really good-hearted.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
So if you ask one, they'll probably give you, you know, advice or a hand, you know.
Well, I want you to know, I mean it. Every time I've met you, I've been inspired, and I'm just being honest. Like you are a force to be reckoned with. You're so humble, but you're so commanding, and you do such a great job. I love it. I absolutely thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you for this opportunity.
You're so welcome. Thank you.